Everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at the Porsche Taycan competitor, the real Porsche Taycan competitor. It's the Polestar 5. The Polestar 5, release date, price, and all the things you need to know about the upcoming EV. The electric Porsche Taycan rival is due to arrive in 2025, and I'm super excited. I've seen this vehicle in person. It was in camo, it was like a prototype, and apparently this vehicle is ready. It's in the final stage of testing. So we are going to get a third car. We're going to get a fourth car being added to the Polestar portfolio. We now have the Polestar 2, Polestar 3, Polestar 4. I've seen two Polestar 4 on the same day while driving into London. That was exciting. I was geeked out. I was so excited. Every time I see a Polestar vehicle, especially the newer ones, I feel like a kid in a toy store. I get really excited and I get really proud. It's quite emotional, you can imagine. Anyway, let's stay on topic. The Polestar 3 and Polestar 4 have just landed, but we're already looking forward to the Swedish company next electric car called the Polestar 5. No longer tied to Volvo, the Polestar 5 will be the company's first car. It uses its own bespoke EV platform. The platform uses a 800-volt architecture, also a first for Polestar, unlocking the ability to rapid charge at over 300 kilowatts. Due to launch later in 2025, the Polestar 5 is a four-door GT car to rival the Porsche Taycan, Lotus Electrea, and the Mercedes EQS, but also the Audi e-tron. Come on now, I can't believe you didn't mention that. Now, the Lotus is actually quite an interesting competitor because they're both owned by Geely, so I'm just going to add that in there. That's just a nice little, Easter egg. So if you're curious about which Lotus it is, I don't think it's the SUV version. Okay, I'm just gonna say that this is the Electrea. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I'm going to show you the real Lotus that they meant. Lotus sedan, because I've seen this thing more and more recently, and I'm so stoked. This is the car. It's the Emea. If anything, it's targeting the Emea. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think I'm effing up the name, but I do apologize. But I think this is the car. I actually saw this car in the night. I saw it in the night. And there's only one reason I knew it was this car, the tail light at the rear. It's got a full tail light like a blade, but also no wing mirrors, cameras. At first I thought, is that a Porsche Taycan? That's not all the e-tron. The Audi e-tron doesn't have the big rear end. It has a tight little rear end. This rear end is not tight. It's actually quite big because you can see for the rear seat passengers, they're gonna have a lot of headroom. There's gonna have a lot of headroom. So if anything, I think this is the competitor for the Polestar 5, ladies and gents. Now, as for the other car, the Mercedes EQS, yes, this is definitely a competitor for the EQS. The Polestar 5 is definitely the EQS competitor. But also the Tesla Model S, that's the competitor as well. That's definitely a competitor along with the Polestar 5. They mentioned the Porsche Taycan, no surprise there. That is definitely a competitor, with the Polestar 5. So that's where the Polestar 5 sits within. That's its competitor, if I'm being completely honest with you. But one that they forget to mention was the Audi e-tron GT concept. Now, this is no longer just a concept, it's a real car. It's been around for quite a few years now. Really beautiful car, cannot deny it. Ironically, you might be wondering, why does it look like a Porsche? It doesn't, but they are cousins. They are siblings. They're pretty close because they're using the same platform. They're both companies are owned by Volkswagen. So there's your reason. But those are the Polestar 5 competitors, and you know what? I think the Polestar 5 will do pretty damn well. So, a production version of the Precept concept car from 2020, the 5 combined high performance with a big battery and comfort in a bid to take Polestar into a sector of the market it hasn't yet visited. Just like the 4, the Polestar 5 does not have a rear view window. Instead, it uses cameras and screens for its central rear view mirror. That's incredible. I know in the concepts there was never a rear view window. Actually being official now that there definitely won't be any rear view window. That is so interesting that this is the direction Polestar has decided to take, and they're not holding back. They're definitely not holding back. But once again, if they have a good reasons for this, if it's to increase headroom, I think that's going to work especially well because a big complaint about these cars, Porsche e-tron, the e-tron You know, the Porsche Taycan, the e-tron GT, the Mercedes EQS. A lot of complaints about these cars that the rear view, the rear seats, the second row of seats is not always the most comfortable, especially for taller passengers. So if Polestar is taking that into consideration, I think that's going to pay dividends long term, especially in the view of buyers who are buying, you know, a car like this, not just for its performance, but for traveling with friends. You know, I think that's going to be good. So although Polestar haven't yet confirmed its launch plan just yet, we understand the 5 will be revealed in a production form in 2025. The first deliveries will likely begin towards the end of the year, just as they did in late 2024 with the Polestar 3 and the Polestar 4. That's no guarantee that we're going to get the Polestar 5 towards the end of next year. I would like that. That would be great, but there's no guarantee. You know, we have to be a little bit more understanding, a bit more open-minded, I would say. So the Polestar 4 development vehicle rear end camouflage, I think they probably meant the Polestar 5, maybe I'm wrong, was spotted winter testing in Arctic in December, indicating that the car's electronic safety systems are still being worked on. This is perfectly normal and very much part of the development of modern cars. With a 2025 launch expected, this is likely the Polestar 5's final trip up the Arctic for a cold weather testing. So right there, I think they meant the Polestar 5. I don't think they necessarily meant the Polestar 4, because that's a Polestar 4. Beautiful car, by the way, really one of my favorite Polestars. Now let's look a little bit about price. The Swedish car maker hasn't announced the price for the 5 just yet, but we pretty much know it's going to be around 75 grand to 100 grand, or 75 or 80 grand to 110 grand. All depends on which trim you go for, and you know, battery capacities and stuff like that, you know. Anyway, the company states its core competitors include Porsche Panamera and Mercedes-Benz EQS. I thought it was a Taycan. Anyway, Panamera now apparently. So those price starts around 83,000. So that's what I mean, you know, 80,000 to 110,000, 75,000 at the cheapest it could start at. Although I don't think this car, they really need to reduce the price, because they're going to be producing these in low numbers anyway. So attracting buyers, I think the car will do that on its own in low numbers when it comes to production. So respectively, giving us a good idea of where Polestar 5 might land. So yeah, around the 80 grand, 90 grand range, at least to start out, you know. You don't want to underprice this car too much, you know. It all depends on demand as well. If you underprice it too much and it's getting mad demand, you might have to raise the price. If you overprice it a little bit too much, maybe 90 grand, you might have to lower the price. So I think around 80 grand is somewhere around there. Now, Polestar 5 specification, you might want to know. The company says the 5 is a F-segment electric performance 4-door GT. Polestar 5 is expected to produce up to 650 kilowatts, 884 brake horsepower, 900 newton meters, and 664 pound-feet of torque. I mean, my goodness, I really, really, really want to get my hands behind this thing. But even more incredible is that in terms of the amount of power and torque, putting the 5's output well behind Polestar's current lineup of electric vehicles. For comparisons, the most powerful version of the Polestar 2 is around 350 kilowatts. So just over half of what the flagship Polestar 5 will be capable of. So it's just showing you that they're really going all out in performance with the Polestar 5. Interestingly, the headline power output 650 kilowatts is exactly the same as the Porsche Taycan Turbo, which is similar size to the Polestar 5 and accelerates to 62 miles an hour in 2.7 seconds. Wait, so is that the Polestar 5 or is that the Porsche Taycan? Because it says right here, you know, the same as the Porsche Taycan, which is similar to size as the Polestar 5 and accelerates. That might be the Porsche Taycan they're talking about. So we imagine that there will be a similar variant of the Polestar 5 with an entry-level single-motor version likely to be at the least powerful, followed by a couple of dual-motor all-wheel drive models. As for all of the important range, it is though the Polestar 5 could use the same 100 kilowatt battery as the Polestar 4 or even the larger 111 kilowatt battery at the Polestar 3. Those have a range of up to 385 miles and 438 miles, respectively. Lastly, because the 5 will use an 800-volt system, it will have a much higher maximum charge rate than any Polestar cars to date. Mamma mia. This will be comfortably above 200 kilowatts rate of the Polestar 4 and closer to the 300 plus kilowatt capabilities of an 800-volt car like the Porsche Taycan or Lotus Electrea. I still think I'm mispronouncing the Lotus car name. But they've worked on so many incredible things about this car. But, you know, don't forget one of the most iconic things is that the platform that the Polestar 5 is being developed on, I think it's the same platform the Polestar 6 Roadster is being developed on. They want to introduce similar performance. These cars will be very similar. The only difference will be the wheelbase. One will be longer and the other will be a little bit shorter, because one is just a Roadster two-door and the other one is like a sedan, a GT sedan. But I love that they're introducing these high performance car with the same platform, with the same architecture or similar architecture, but really to aim higher at that luxury market. I'm glad that they're doing that. Polestar revealed official pictures of the 5 back in April 2024, described as a verification prototype. It wasn't much in the way of the camouflage, but we're still yet to see the car from every angle, and nor have we seen the production spec interior. But we've pretty much seen the car. We've seen the concept, the precept in camo. We've seen it a lot. We've seen it in videos, what the concept looks like. So we're pretty sure on what the car will look like. It won't look much different from what we've seen so far. But this car has gone through an evolution from precept to concept to prototype. It's gone through a journey. So we are excited. The people in the Polestar community are definitely excited. But other amazing things that they've done with this car is that the same car was able to charge from 10 to 80% in just 10 minutes. This was one of their tests, one of their experiments that they did. This is something they've been working on. It's been phenomenal for them. Polestar said at the time, with the charge rate ranging from 310 kilowatt right up to 370 kilowatt, although the test car used a specifically commissioned battery with a capacity of 77 kilowatts. Polestar said how it has the potential to increase to at least 100 kilowatts. At such high charge rates, Polestar said the system has the potential to add 200 miles of range to a mid-sized electric car in just 10 minutes. Ladies and gents, technology has come afar. It's come a long way, and we still got a long way to go, but what they're doing is really impressive. And I can't wait to see this car get unveiled and eventually on roads. Now that would be incredible. So this is what the final car will look like. So you see, it's definitely in the finishing stage of its development. It's looking sleek. It's looking good. One of my favorite pictures of this car is one of the pictures from the rear, from the side of the rear, and I hope it looks like that. It's like a concept image. This is it. This is that famous concept image of this car. I'll probably use that exact same image for this thumbnail. This is the car I'm expecting to see announced. And I would be pretty damn happy with this car. I mean, it just looks perfect in every format. I really do like that big rear end and the low down front end. It looks like a Porsche and an Audi in one. It really does, but at the same time, it's very different from a Porsche and Audi. At the same time, it probably doesn't look anything like a Porsche and Audi. But you can see what I mean in terms of inspirations. But it's gone with the Polestar traditional sharp angle designs, but in a really modern and simplistic and beautiful way. I am excited. Thank y'all for watching this video. Subscribe to see more and join the community. Remember to subscribe to our newsletter as well. Link is in the description. Leave a like and leave a comment to show your support. And I will see you in our next video, okay? Peace.